I was supposed to marry her. My bride. The woman I thought was my forever. She was everything beautiful, wickedly smart, with an ambition that could move mountains. Our life felt perfect. A meticulously crafted dream. But in the weeks leading up to the wedding, there were whispers, little inconsistencies, stories that didn't quite add up. I brushed them aside. She looked me in the eyes and asked me to trust her, and foolishly, I did. I chose her word over my own gut feeling. Then came the day the whispers became a roar. The truth, cold and sharp, found its way to me. She had been cheating. The betrayal was absolute, a clean cut through everything I believed in. We hadn't even said our vows, but the promises we'd whispered in the dark were already broken. All the shared laughter, the future, we planned it all, turned to smoke. I canceled everything. The venue, the caterer, the wedding. I turned my back on the life we had built, or at least the life I thought we had built. At the same time, a different kind of storm was brewing at my job. My ex-fiancé had a rival, a formidable one. The company's CEO. Let's call her Victoria. To say Victoria loathed my bride would be an understatement. It was a professional animosity I had never witnessed up close. They had been clashing for months in boardroom battles, trading subtle digs and nice gold smiles across conference tables. I always felt awkward, caught in the crossfire, an unwilling spectator to their power struggle. The night my world imploded, I was sitting alone in a dimly lit bar, trying to drown the images from my mind, when a shadow fell over my table. It was Victoria. "I heard what happened," she said, her voice low and steady. It wasn't pity. Pity is soft and condescending. This was something Elsa shared understanding. It struck me then how little sympathy she had for the woman who had shattered my heart, and how much quiet contempt she carried for her. In that moment, I saw Victoria in a completely new light. She wasn't just the iron-fisted CEO who made grown men tremble. She was someone who understood the sting of betrayal, someone who had her own hidden vulnerabilities. The weeks that followed were a blur of grief. I withdrew from the world, avoiding our old haunts like they were plagued. I let messages pile up, unanswered. I was adrift. But Victoria? She kept showing up. Not in an invasive, overbearing way, but with a quiet, steady purpose. She'd invite me for a coffee that felt more like a strategy session for my own survival. A walk in the park that was less about the scenery and more about getting me to breathe fresh air again. "You deserve more than this," she said once, her gaze direct and unwavering. I didn't believe her words. Not yet. But I believed the raw sincerity in her eyes. One rainy afternoon, we found ourselves on the covered terrace of her office building, watching the city blur behind a curtain of water. The rain pattered against the glass, a gentle rhythm against the chaos in my head. She started talking, telling me stories from her own past. She spoke of trusting someone who deceived her, of the fight for respect in a world that tried to diminish her, of the wall she'd built around her own heart, brick by painstaking brick. And I just listened. As I listened, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, a tiny, fragile flicker of hope. She reached out, her fingers gently touching the back of my hand. "If you ever need someone to lean on, I'm here." I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, I saw the softness beneath her steel exterior, The way her brows furrowed when she was concerned. The way her lips curved into a small, almost shy smile when she let her guard down. The shift happened on a late work night. We were the last two in the office, poring over documents across the vast, empty boardroom table. The city lights twinkled outside. She looked up, her eyes catching mine, and she said, "You're not just a broken version of yourself. You're someone extraordinary." My heart didn't just skip a beat, it felt like it stopped and restarted. That's when I knew my feelings for her had transformed from admiration into something deeper, something intense and real. And as the silence stretched between us, I realized she felt it too. I saw it in the way she held my gaze a second longer than necessary, the way she'd linger for a moment before leaving a room, the way her voice softened, almost imperceptibly, when she said my name. One night, I knew I had to face the ghost. I had to go back to the apartment I once shared with my ex. I needed to burn the last of our connections, take down the pictures, and erase the phantom scent of her perfume. The thought of going alone was unbearable. So I called Victoria. She didn't hesitate. She drove me there and held my hand as I unlocked the door. The air inside was stale, thick with memories. It hurt more than I expected. But then Victoria squeezed my hand. "Let's make a new memory here," she whispered, "right now." She pulled me into the center of the dim living room and began to lead a slow dance. No music needed. "Outside," thunder rumbled, a storm mirroring the one that had been raging inside me. And as we moved together, just us in that empty space, I felt the storm inside me finally begin to settle. I realized that by letting go of my past, I wasn't just closing a door. I was opening a new one to a life with her. A few weeks later, the universe delivered its own form of justice. My ex-fiancé walked into the office one last time. She was being fired for unethical conduct. Web of her own making, finally catching up to her. The entire floor went silent. I glanced at Victoria. There was no triumphant laugh, no gloating, just a quiet, profound satisfaction. In that moment, I understood that the woman who hurt me didn't get the final word on my story. I did, with Victoria by my side. That evening, Victoria invited me to her home for dinner. The table was set with candles, the city skyline shimmering through her penthouse window. She looked stunning in a silk blouse, the powerful CEO aura still present, but softer now. She was letting me see the woman underneath it all. After dessert, she stood up, her expression serious. "I know you trusted the wrong person before," she said, her voice clear and strong. "But will you trust me now?" I swallowed, my heart racing in my chest. "Yes," I said, the word feeling more right than anything I'd said in years. She smiled, a real, radiant smile that lit up her entire face. She leaned in, and we kissed. It felt like the ground beneath me had solidified, like I was truly alive for the first time in months. Our relationship blossomed from there. We became partners in every sense of the word, in business and in life. She pushed me to rediscover my ambitions, to chase the dreams I had abandoned. I, in turn, offered her a support she rarely allowed herself to need. We were building something new, something solid, brick by brick. Whenever the ghost of my ex's betrayal crept into my thoughts, Victoria was there to hold me. Whenever my own insecurities made me feel unlovable, she would look me in the eye and say, "You are worthy." And finally, I believed her. Now, months later, I stand here in our shared apartment overlooking that same skyline. I think about the past pain, the betrayal, the canceled wedding end. It feels like a story about someone else. Then I think of now, the love, the strength, and the woman beside me. The woman who once hated my ex, but now loves me completely. I accepted her proposal not as an act of revenge, but because she is my person. The one who saw me when I was invisible. The one who held me up when I fell. The one who didn't just fix my broken pieces, but showed me how they could be put together to create something even stronger. My bride cheated. Yes. But that betrayal, as painful as it was, ended a chapter 1 desperately needed to close. The chapter I'm living now is with the CEO who once hated her most, and now she's the one I'll call my wife. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.